welcome into another episode of Fully Equipped. Kris, McCormack, how art thou?
Well, Wade, Maroun, I'm doing quite well, sir.
Very
Yourself?
good. Very
Yourself?
good. It's a big week. It's G440 week.
G440 week.
It's Shrixon week.
Shrixon week. Mizuno week.
Mizuno week. I think there's some Titleist dropping this week.
Titleist GT hybrids.
Yep.
GT1 driver, rounding out the GT family. There's a lot.
It's a big week.
There's a lot going on.
It's a big, but the biggest news of the week, ladies and gentlemen, Kris is not wearing prescription shoes. The bullying has worked. Community, we have done it.
We're not quite there. We're not quite there. I mean, in all fairness, I didn't have prescription shoes on the last time we were here, and you didn't even notice.
I noticed you had a pair of Adidas on. I noticed, but I can tell that you're upping it this week because
Trying.
these are very nicely outfitted to what you're wearing.
Well, thank you, sir.
And I can tell you put some time in. Otherwise, normally you would wear your magic shoes that would be just grey
Gray, yeah.
and chunky monkeys and ready to go. But
Indeed.
But that to me is the biggest launch of this week. Outside of the 440, outside of Mizuno, outside of Shrixon, outside of Titleist GT1.
Shoe upgrade.
Shoe upgrade
that
for Kris
trumps
McCormack.
everything. Wow. Well, that's saying something from you.
But no, really excited. Really exciting week. That we're getting closer and closer and closer to everything being out.
Closer and closer.
Which is really, really great. I think there's only a couple more products that are going to release soon. Everything is now available for pre-order except for the Callaway Elite. I think that's happening very soon, though.
Very soon.
But outside of that, everything's rocking and ready to go. And I'm excited because following up on the PGA show, we're both going to the PGA show next week, which will be great. It's my first time going.
First time going.
My first time to a trade show. I think this will be my 77th trade show of all time or
But it's
something like
first
that.
time PGA
But
show.
first time PGA show.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I'm so over shows that ever since I've been in the golf industry, I've been invited. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. But I'm going this year because I think it'll be good to go. I want to see some of our vendors, meeting with a really big vendor for Fairway Jockey that could be very exciting if that deal is put in place.
Can you talk about it?
Can't yet, just because I don't want to put anything out there and jinx it.
All right, fair enough.
But really excited about that. And then I'll meet with some of my current vendors as well, just because we don't get to see each other face to face all the time. And then you and I are going to get to walk around and see what's new, what's up and coming, and do some cool stuff there, which will be great too. But I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's. I really enjoy going just to get FaceTime with all of the people that I text and talk to and email, and just putting names and faces together. And it's a lot easier to get people to agree to do fun stuff when you're standing right in front of them going, hey, can we do this? And then they're like, yeah. Just like, with my shoes. If you were to text me about my shoes, I'd tell you, kiss my ass. But the fact that you harass me about it every week, hey, look at that. I changed my shoes.
My strategies are always pretty sound. That's why I'm so successful in business.
That's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. It's good to be confident in your strategies.
Yeah.
And I will say that, I had conversations with friends and with loved ones about my shoes because of your bullying. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a better man for it.
I do too. You look better.
Oh, that's good.
So that's the main thing. But no, so really exciting week with the launches. And then I think the thing I'm really excited about is you and I can do our what should be in the bag.
Yep.
Video segments, whatever you want to call it, when everything is released. So guys, we're gonna go through top to bottom of the bag, really go through everything that I should be playing, what Kris should be playing, and try to be as consistent with that as possible. I've been known to change shit out here and there.
and there.
But I will try to be as consistent as possible as I can. But I'm really excited for that because it's hard to like when we went to Carlsbad, it was great because we were hitting everything and everything felt great.
Yeah.
But I want to put everything next to each other.
Hey, speaking of that Carlsbad trip, we have so much content.
So much
out there that is starting to kind of
Filter
circulate, and there's still a ton to come.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part about it is we have so much now that's been pushed, and looking back on it, it's like, man, we did a lot.
We did a lot. And I think we were talking earlier, I think I was like, did I do like 800-900 swings? And you were like, that was conservative.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, in that
did
week time, people are, oh, you're so lucky you get to go do that. It's so much fun.
So
Oh my God.
lucky.
Yeah, it's a great time, but that's not a vacation.
No, what you guys didn't see was so the last day we were at the Kingdom and I was getting ready to hit the QI 35. 15 minutes before we hit, Kris is there with the machine, the massage gun on my back, getting
the
me
hypervolt.
trying to get me loose, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna. And then the first 3 swings were just horrible,
Top shank,
just horrible, just getting everything's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I feel that on almost a daily basis. So it's just welcome to my world, bud.
No, yeah, I'm getting closer. But yeah, and then last night we had the second TGL episode.
Second TGL.
I would say that it was probably more entertaining than previous week just because of all the shenanigans that were happening.
There was a lot of comic relief
from Kiz.
Yeah. I mean,
he needs to be like, I know he's in it, but like once again, back to what we were talking about last week, like he's the kind of person that needs to be the commentator guy.
Yeah, I could see that. He wasn't playing very well, but he owned it.
He did.
And I had posted my favorite takeaway from the 2 weeks of TGL thus far.
Yeah.
Was the bladed bunker shot.
So good.
And Max's reaction and Tiger's reaction. I mean, we're almost better than Kisner's. I mean, Tiger just started belly laughing. Max Homa falls over on the green, and Kisner just starts laughing. And I mean, I'm going, okay, that's entertaining. 100%. That's personality coming out. They can have fun with it.
Right. The other thing I really liked, and it was Kisner again that did it. I can't remember what hole it was, but he was like, "All right, guys, they've only got a 7 putt from here for a 9-foot putt uphill, and we'll tie." And like that's the funny thing, you know what I mean? Like that's what you want to see.
Week 2, back-to-back blowouts. So it's like, Then all of the simulations and all the testing and stuff they did, the matches were really close. Mm-hmm. And then we do it live, and we've had back-to-back blowouts.
Yep.
But I would say that week 2 was more entertaining, aside from some of the technical issues.
Yep.
And that needs to be resolved for sure.
I'm sure it'll get there. They'll get there over time. I mean, it's always going to take a bit of time to get it done, technically wise, and all of that kind of stuff. It's the first time anyone's really embarked on this.
Yeah, I mean, one in particular, like Tiger, arguably one of the better ball strikers, especially irons and wedges, that has ever played.
Never heard of Tiger.
Right? Yeah, who's that guy? And he has a 100 and some yard wedge shot and goes and hits it 130. And like his reaction was just kind of like, yeah, that didn't go 130.
Right.
Like there's no way that just happened. And there were a couple things like throughout the night where you're like, how accurate was that?
Right.
Because the player reaction, like it did something, and those guys are so in tune with their game. Like the ball reacted on the screen in a particular way, and like they would turn around and just like, oh, what was that? But they played it off. It was entertaining. Do you think this is something that long term is going to gain a consistent audience? I heard an interesting takeaway that they have the simulated stands, but there's no people in them. So it's just the stands. And one of the commentators, one of the influencer, talking heads, right, was saying like, if you're going to take the time to put grandstands into a simulated environment,
put people in
them.
Yeah, I feel like 16th hole at the Waste Management.
Yeah, and I never really thought about it until he said that, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a good point. I didn't even notice
there wasn't people in them either.
I didn't either. I went back and was like, oh, yeah, he's right. Like that is kind of odd. Does that add something? You have people all around you in the auditorium or in the stadium.
Where I think a TGL is going to have legs, it's not going to be with pros. I think where TGL is going to have legs is I think it needs to turn into more of a golf tournament for the regular golfer, the average golfer, whatever it is, that can have a tournament they can play. And it kind of reminds me of when, you know how they started like the cornhole leagues and all of that kind of stuff. Like this is the category that it kind of falls into for me. Like it's like professionals are all good and well to have in there. But I think where it's going to get really interesting is if you put like $1 million prize pool at the end of it, and every 3 months you have 20 teams that are vying for it.
Yeah.
and then at the end of the year, you have that one championship with all the major winners or the top 2 teams or whatever it is for $5 million, whatever it is. I'm making these numbers up.
Sure.
But that to me is what I would tune in for more, because once it's more relatable, I can turn around and go, shit, maybe I can start a team and try to enter that, go into a qualifier, go into something. And then they can have online qualifiers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you can do everything digitally and then you're invited to that final round. Kind of like how they're doing the drive, chip and putt with juniors.
Yep.
You know? So that's what, if I was running their marketing and I was running the commercialization of it, that is what I would do.
So you're sitting here talking about this idea, and what just popped into my head, basketball.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Maybe they were
on
onto something there. Yeah, it started out in the driveway, and then it evolved into this league, and there's teams all over the place. And I mean, that's an interesting concept, because then you get the personalities.
Yeah, and that's how I would go. But then the people are in it.
Yeah.
Like these pros, they're like they're in it because they kind of have to be. They don't need anything from it. None of them are getting anything out of it. None of them are getting like extra credit for their tour card. No, like, you know what I mean?
No
like,
FedEx Cup points.
They're not getting FedEx
World
Cup
ranking points.
They're not
there.
getting extra money from their sponsors. This is not getting them new sponsors. Like, so it's, to me, they just don't have any skin in the game. Where if you turned around and was like, hey, it's going to be Wade and Kris, and say we recruit DJ, right? Me and DJ versus the Barstool guys. We got skin in the game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, we want to be the better shitty YouTubers.
And I
Do you
mean,
know what I mean?
the better shitty YouTubers, the Joes versus Joes,
Right? You know,
that's an interesting concept. I'd be kind of curious, would people be more invested? I mean, would there be, because talking to some of the industry entities that were on the floor last night, they were saying probably, if they had to guesstimate, 40% or so of the audience in attendance were people that were, corporate fillers, influencers, social media personalities trying to gain some traction and awareness about it. And so if you have almost half of your on-site viewership, there as basically like, hey, help us grow this thing, that's kind of an interesting perspective. Like, if the players were invested and the viewership was like, hey, I could get there, would that be a better, more entertaining environment?
Yeah. Hey, Mark, why don't you set a note to clip that, and then we can chuck that on our socials. Kris, what are our socials for Instagram again?
So for Instagram, hey, I've got it right here. We're at Fully Equipped Golf on Instagram.
I'm so proud of you, man. Why don't we clip that bit, and then we can put something on our socials and do like a questionnaire to see if people would want to prefer to see that, and then we can go up against the TGL and make it happen.
I like it.
But so I think that it's a great concept. I just don't think they're utilizing the right talent. That's all I would say.
And tour players, a lot of them, since golf is such a personalized individual sport, they don't typically play on teams. A lot of them are somewhat introverted, if not extremely introverted.
Yep.
They don't want to be the center of attention outside of playing golf inside the ropes. And you put a microphone on them, and it's just like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yep, 100%.
There's not a lot of personality that comes out there in their office.
No, there isn't. So that's where I would go with it. I mean, I think it's outside of that. I think, there was a tournament last week which was fine. The Sony Open, right?
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii, yeah. So we had the Sony Open. Who won that? What was his name again? I've drawn a blank. He does the claw grip when he's putting and plays the TaylorMade. Nick Taylor. Thank you, Marky Mark. So Nick Taylor had a win on the tour, which is great. Tournament was the tournament. I wasn't very enthralled with it, if I'm being completely honest with you. It wasn't the most fun tournament to watch.
I think that's kind of outside of Hideki just playing lights out, and like we talked about last week, Max showing up with his new Cobra gear, playing really well and losing by 16.
Yeah.
This week was, it just wasn't as exciting. I wasn't as invested either, if I'm being perfectly honest. And we've got Farmers coming up. Love seeing Torrey, and the Torrey Pines event's cool. We've got Pebble coming up with the AT&T. There's a couple of cool events. I really get engaged kind of after that Florida swing.
Sure.
Or when they head down to Florida and, they're playing Bay Hill and they're playing the Invitational, and that's what I really like.
Sure. No,
love
that makes
the players.
sense.
Love the players. But the PGA Tour, there's not a ton of, like you said, personality out there to where it's just like, man, somebody is going to do something crazy this week. It's exciting to watch. It's fun to watch. It needs personality.
I agree.
And a lot of the personalities on Live, but you
Can't watch it anymore.
Yeah, you can't really watch
And it's not the
Live
most
anymore.
exciting golf either because they're playing more team sports things than anything. And
Yep.
they've already got their money, so there's no cuts. So it doesn't feel like they're pushing as hard, even though I'm sure they are. But I don't know. I don't know.
We'll
But
see.
yeah, but another cool thing, just something to monitor is it looks like a lot of pros are starting to copy me and go to a red shaft. We're seeing a lot of what's in the bags coming out. Tommy Fleetwood has moved to playing a Ventus 24 red 6X.
Yep.
So I think there was a picture of Rory hitting a red as well. Not that he's changing to it. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to stay in the black. But just interesting to see what the players are looking at, what they're testing, and that there could be some shaft, not brand changes, but just profile changes coming up.
You are a trendsetter in multiple categories.
Trendsetter, man.
That's what it boils down to.
I give it all to Dwayne. I bet you Dwayne, fit me, and then he was like, I guess if I have to fit Tommy, I'll fit Tommy.
He's almost as good as Wade. I mean,
almost at being at just being rad. But no, that would be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see what's going on there with shafts and what have you, because I think the way that the new product is coming out, the LS side of things, they seem a lot more favorable than previous, a lot more easier to hit.
Yeah.
I think a lot more people are going to find themselves in working out whether they want to go to a core or an LS, right? And so
For
I
the
think
QI35
just in general,
you
you know what I mean? Like I think the LS has definitely come back towards more of a consistent manner in regards to forgiveness versus where it was. So I think there's going to be a lot of people playing with shaft a lot more in regards to what needs to go into that.
I mean, you're talking about we had mentioned the Ping G440 dropping this week, and we were over at the Proving Grounds. We've got a video up of our experience there, tech talk that we went through, talking all things G440. And the kind of cool part with that tech was that free hosel design that gave them an opportunity to move some weight around. You're able to kind of maintain consistent launch conditions, but drop the static loft and cut some spin, a little bit more ball speed. And I mean, the core head, like you were saying, that's pushing 9,500 plus MOI in their max, and not even the 10K. And that thing is super stable and it's fast.
It's fast, sounds good, it goes long. It's a great driver.
It really is. And the fairway woods, no joke. The whole 440 line, top to bottom, I was pretty impressed with. And we had. Have you had a chance to hit the new Mizuno ball?
I've not. I've heard really good things about it though, but I've not had a chance. Did you get some?
I have some, but I haven't had a chance to hit them yet.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about them.
And this is some of the initial feedback and reviews that I've seen kind of pop up on the various interweb outlets is all been really positive.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing, which is really, really smart, is we're going to launch them on Fairway Jockey pretty soon. But what they're doing is they're allowing us to do a launch with it where it's like buy two, get a dozen free.
Oh, that's a smoking deal.
So it's like if you do want to try the ball, it's a no-brainer because it's going to be like $45 probably retail. I'm making up that retail, but $90 for three dozen.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good deal.
That's a lot of ball
for
the
me,
money.
like once it's up and running, I'd go check the website at fairwayjockey.com, but I'd go check it out and see if they're there. And I've heard really good things. Haven't hit it yet, but let's go hit them and see what they're all about. That way I'm not just sitting here going, go try it, guys. You know what I mean? Like I've actually tried it.
Right. Well, same. We've been talking about the Titleist ball too. The new 2025 Pro V1, Pro V1X. Those are launching.
Yep.
And we're seeing those pop up in their retail boxes. And we had a couple dozen sent to us for us to continue doing some testing out on the golf course.
We're going to do a bit of swapsies because you're an X guy and I'm not an X guy. So I'll take the ones and you'll take the X's and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I tried the white box ones before they were available in their retail environment or their retail state. And I just too low for me. I need the X. Get it up.
See, I need low because I hit the ball high.
Well, that works because then we can do a little swappy and everybody's happy.
Swippity swap, but yeah. And then speaking of Titleist, we actually have a really cool interview that we did with Stephanie Luttrell over at Titleist about the GT1 release and what have you. So we're actually going to we're going to switch to that really quickly now so you guys can see that interview. So once again, really big week in golf. A lot's happened and a lot of stuff is launching. One of the things being the GT1. So please enjoy this conversation with Stephanie. She's an incredible golfer, but just a fountain of knowledge. Like,
it made me feel dumb.
Yeah, well, everyone makes me feel dumb, but she made me feel dumber. But really great conversation with her, and then everyone on the Titleist side of things while we were there were incredible. But enjoy this interview, and I think the GT1's going to surprise a lot of people. It may not be for you for a driver, which it makes sense, but for example, I think you had a really good time with the Fairway wood.
Definitely.
And which you were so shocked about. So I think a lot of people should think about the GT1 for their fairway wood, especially in that 7 wood category. But anyway, guys, enjoy the interview with Stephanie, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. G'day guys, welcome to another episode of Fully Equipped. It's myself, Wade Maroun, we've got Kris McCormack, and then we've got a special guest here, Stephanie Luttrell from Titleist.
Happy to be here with you all today.
Cool, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
Thank
We're
you.
in your house.
Yeah, we are. We're in our studio, just adjacent to the Titleist Performance Institute in Oceanside, California.
I'm jealous of the studio. This is an upgrade from what we have at Fully Equipped back home in Scottsdale.
Well, if you've seen some of the output of our creative team recently with the We Go Farther series or the new GT launch videos, this team's been doing an awesome job. They've earned this space, so
it's a pretty cool space.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. And speaking of GT launch,
Yes.
we're here. We got a bag full of GT goodies to take a look
Yes.
at. So, with that, I want to jump into the GT line.
Let's do it.
So walk us through what we already have in the marketplace, right? So GT Woods launched back in the summertime, and we've got GT 2, 3, 4, and corresponding fairway woods in the 2 and the 3. So now, coming into 2025, what can consumers kind of expect to see out of new GT family launch?
Well, we're filling out the family, really,
Filling out the
what
family.
it comes down to.
like
And
that.
that we've got the GT1 driver, fairway, and hybrid, and then also the GT2 and 3 hybrids. So we're very excited to just bring that and really just kind of complete the lineup and really allow us to fit all dedicated golfers well with the GTs.
I like that. I like the fact that they're just sitting here waiting to be touched and handled, and I'm ready to peel some head covers off and take a look at the goodies under the hood here.
Should we start with the GT1 driver?
I think we should.
All right, let's do that. So we've got this as the new GT1. Really what it stems from is that I kind of call it the bookend of the lineup. So
Okay.
if you think about GT4, GT3, GT2, and GT1, that 4 really satisfies in our lineup the place of the player that needs ultra low spin.
Not me.
Yeah, it is the player that, as we've discovered and really kind of sought to optimize how to make it more versatile, we brought 4 aft CG adjustability into it. So when you flip the heavyweight to the aft, we can make it almost a GT 2.5. It's the smallest head shape, but it really kind of fits that low spin bookend for that player that needs aggressive spin reduction, but also those players that might like a really classic 430cc pair profile. So that's kind of where the 4 lives in the lineup. But then as you step next into the 3 has our center gravity track system, so our SureFit CG system, and we've moved that now forward in the head. I like to say it's the most globally recognized and played tour driver. Very classic pair profile, 460cc, but we've moved that CG a little bit more forward to lower the spin and really optimize distance for it through that. And then the 2, I like to call it that max forgiveness bomber driver. It has head weight adjustability, but it lives in our lineup. It's a little larger footprint, but very still traditional in terms of a swept toe look that really appeals to a lot of players. And then you bookend that with the 1. And the 1, I think classically the 1 has been thought of in our lineup as kind of a ultra lightweight configuration, high launch, mid spin. We're broadening kind of the appeal of it in this generation, in that we're now still checking those boxes of that high launch and mid spin, but we're also offering it in 2 weight configurations. So 1 being that ultra lightweight configuration where the head's 8 grams lighter, the shaft's about 20 grams lighter than our nominal men's standard builds in the 2, 3, and 4, and then a lightweight grip with it. But we're also going to offer it because we have head weight adjustability in a +6 gram head weight configuration and pair it with more of our Tensei Blue shaft and our standard men's grip. And the reason for that is that we really see a broad spectrum of players that need launch and spin, that it's not just the player that needs, you know, a lightweight configuration, although there are a lot of players in that category. We really feel as though we can expand the consideration for GT1 in that respect.
Yeah, and I think you guys have done a really good job with the GT family of bringing them close together since the previous line, right? The 4 is close to the 3 is close to the 2 is close to the 1. And I think you were even talking earlier when we were going through some stuff that you're wanting to move into the GT1 yourself, previously a 2 player, but getting ready to move into the 1 because you want that higher launch, higher spin. And now that it's closer to the 2, especially in the shape and what have you, it's something that you can move into without any worry whatsoever.
Yeah, I've lived kind of in that space in the past. I played TSR1 when GT came out. Obviously, I wanted to play the newest technology. I knew what was under the hood with GT. So I've always kind of kept it in the back of my head that when the 1 was coming, I would test and cross-compare it between GT2 and GT1 and really find out what best suits my game. But in the past, the 1, because I'm a low-spin player, has really helped me to promote, you know, a higher trajectory flight that I get more carry and ultimately more distance out of.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. How much separation have you seen between the 1 and the 2 just from kind of launch and spin characteristics?
Well, typically what we'll see is that it'll launch almost anywhere from 1 degree to 2 degrees higher. It's going to spin 250 to 300 RPMs more with the 1 versus the 2. So as you indicated, you know, if you want to move from a 9-degree GT1 to a 10-degree GT2, you can consider and cross-compare those models. But ultimately, the 1 product, we offer it in a 9, a 10, and a 12 degree, so it achieves kind of that higher trajectory across the spectrum of lofts that are available.
Definitely. That's super
You
cool.
want to hold it?
Yeah. I mean, the whole GT family is aesthetically very pleasing to the eye. And I know testing-wise with the 2, 3, and the 4, I really like just the neutrality of the GT family. They don't necessarily have a start line bias, so it's a really good product for a player that likes to be in control of their golf ball and, I mean, be able to work it both directions. And is that same kind of characteristic carrying over to GT1?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of the 1, it is our most draw-friendly product, but it achieves draw in a different way than you might think of competitive draw products that are out there, where they're moving center of gravity towards the heel significantly. The 1, it sets up most square in our lineup, whereas like the 2, 3, and 4 set up in our A1 standard position at about a half to 1 degree open. The 1 product actually sets up at 0. So it starts out at a more square face angle. It also has our deepest center of gravity. So in our Titleist metalwood lineup, we like to think of center of gravity depth as a fitting tool. So 4 being most forward, 1 being deepest, that really leads to as a timing mechanism in the hands of fitters to really help you to square face to path more effectively. And as you mentioned, we don't really want to manipulate CGX unless your impact location really necessitates and draws it, which is why we have that capability in the 3. But in the 1 with that deep CG, what you tend to see for a lot of players is more dynamic face closure. So more closure at impact will lead to a little bit more draw ease as well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming complimentary fairway.
Yes, there is a complimentary fairway. I think it might be under this head cover. Should we take a look?
Yes, conveniently located.
Yes. We'll drop that head cover back there too.
I think you just throw them at the camera guys.
Yep, I agree.
Next one, right?
Deal.
Queued up. So what do you want to know about the 1 fairway?
So easier to launch, lowest, deepest CG, footprint-wise compared to what players might be accustomed to seeing in GT2 and GT3, how's that going to look just side by side?
Well, I like to think of the 1 as well as it has a point of shape differentiation from the other models. So it's our fullest profile, so kind of the largest footprint as you set them down behind the ball. And the same carries through into the 1 fairways. Unlike what we had with our TSR1 fairway, though, we've now brought CG adjustability in fore-aft in this model. And part of that was necessitated and driven through our conversations with Tour. The feedback loop that we have with our Tour team is pretty integral to our R&D process, in that a lot of times we're talking through, okay, what does Justin Thomas need? What does Cam Young need? And really understanding those individual player needs. But when JJ Van Wiesenbeck, who's our director of our PGA Tour team, he saw the new shape for the one, and it really has a performance differentiation also because of its shape, and that it's our shallowest profile and largest footprint. And versus the 2 and the 3, there are players that really seek and obtain great performance because of that face depth, and they're able to kind of get down after it a little bit more and have ease of launch because of that. So this forward-aft CG adjustability that we're now bringing into the one allows us to really complement the needs of the Tour as well as the needs of that more moderate speed player that needs dynamic loft and launch and spin. So with the aft weight positioned in the heavy location, you're able to achieve launch and spin like a TSR1, but with better spin performance and overall great consistency of performance because of the reshaping that we've done with the face. But now when you move it forward, you get CG a little lower, you knock a little bit of that spin off, and you open it up to a much broader audience that just sees greater performance gains because of this shape profile for them and the face depth.
And you mentioned moderate to lower speed, just like Kris McCormack over here.
Just like me, Kris. High
so
five.
you got to play this not long ago. We were earlier at the driving range, kind of hitting them, and I was overhearing, what you were going through, and I heard I was not expecting that. So what was that scenario that you were going through there?
I mean, just on the struggle bus with trying to find optimum launch and spin windows and for playability, and transitioning from longest iron now into fairway wood. I'm a player that historically has struggled with a hybrid, but everything that a hybrid is supposed to do is what I need. I just have a tendency to miss them a little bit low left.
Just like all of
I've
us,
heard
mate.
that a few times from other hybrid people.
So we were actually working through some of the new metal woods, and GT1 came out of the drawer at 21 degrees. And it's like,
7-wood nation.
right? We keep talking about this. If you haven't hit a 7-wood, haven't tested a 7-wood, worth trying. But we put it together, and I love the adjustability factor of now the forward weight, the rear weight, and the larger footprint. I currently play a 20-degree heavenwood.
Okay.
And so it's that larger footprint, but extra loft that I desperately need. And in testing it, I mean, it was the very first shot, and that was the reaction that he heard. I hit it and just went, huh. Like, that was exactly what I'm looking
Everyone
for.
else's head snapped on the driving range. Like, what did Kris just do?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was, I mean,
We all heard a pure shot and was like, was that coming from Kris's bag?
it's few and far
Fully.
between, to say the least.
It's all GT1, right?
It's all GT 100%. I take zero responsibility for anything because it usually sucks. But
Did he have it set up with the heavyweight in the aft position? Or?
yes,
Yeah. Perfect.
aft position, rear position for the Wades of the world. But yeah, the heavyweight was in that aft position, and the feel was fantastic. I really like the fact that the shape, or the footprint as you were kind of referring to, is almost a perfect parallel to GT2 as far as the shaping goes. And I really like the shaping of GT2, but just don't necessarily have the launch and spin window that I look for. And putting that in play and having that larger footprint at 21 degrees, it just checked all the boxes.
Love it.
So really cool. I mean, if he was impressed with it, then, I mean, I think I've got a winner there.
100%. It's definitely something you need to game. I think what you did with that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, can't wait
agree.
for it to find its way into your bag and for you to tell us how it goes out on the golf course.
He practiced his running before we came here to see how quickly he could run.
It's not
so
fast.
if he grabs and runs, just wait 5 minutes, he'll stop.
Joey at the security shack.
I appreciate 5 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes that's a marathon for me.
I mean, we've had tour pros try to slip it under the gamer head cover, you know, so.
I believe that. I was personally impressed with this guy. And
I think there's a lot of versatility in it now, you know, as a complement and to filling out that GT fairway wood lineup. So the fact that now we've got that 3 with CG adjustability heel toe, we've got the 2 with head weight adjustability, really that all-around playability product, and now the 1 that's just that product that's going to get up in the air and go for those players that need that help. I'm excited to just have people experience all of the fairway woods and kind of compare and contrast them against each other.
Yeah, as I think fitter, this is huge. I love being able to have that movable weight and fine-tune CG and really just kind of dial in those launch characteristics for the player.
And as a gear psychopath that likes to have multiple clubs, you call them the trunk clubs, I believe. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, that's what I like to call them.
Yeah, the trunk clubs
good.
where it's, I like what you're doing because it creates utilitarian clubs at the top of the bag, which I don't think a lot of people are doing. I think we're going to pull out the hybrid in a second for the GT1 as well, but it's what we're looking at here to me is you can mix and match so many different things. Like I'm not a hybrid guy, but the GT1 hybrid feels like a super hybrid to me, and it's something that I would definitely game, so it's interesting where the GT collection is going, and I'm really excited for it. So we're in a good spot here.
I think with respect to that, the collaboration that happens between Marnie and his team, he's our director of iron development, and our team, with Tom Bennett leading our fairway and hybrid category. So the ability for us to have high lofted fairway woods, to have hybrids, to have utility irons, and for a player to be able to go in and really assess that top end of the bag and figure out, okay, where do I stop my iron set, right? Where does my distance start to drop off? And how do I help create, what we call the 3Ds, like the angle of descent, the distance, and the dispersion control. And so being able to utilize these tools to really drive towards what's going to help you unlock more consistent shot stopping power into the green, as well as really distance gapping out in a consistent manner is a key. And so excited to hear that you experienced that across the fitting as well.
Yeah, 3Ds, I'm stealing that. I like that.
Do it.
Yeah, 100%. But I kind of want to continue down that road, talking about set composition and having a large variety of options. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to expand your bag, especially at the top end of the bag, depending upon environmental influences, where you're playing. I mean, somebody like me, nowhere near the skill level of a tour pro, but I play golf all over the country. And I'm on the road 5 to 7 months out of the year. I'm in California, I'm up in New York, I'm down in Florida, I'm up in the Northwest, and the turf conditions, just the density of the air, the elevation, everything changes. And I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head as far as being able to have a variety of different options to pick from to kind of fine-tune your bag depending upon not only what's going on outside, but also turf conditions that you're playing on. Jack, one of our writers for Golf Magazine, was talking about how he moved from Bend, Oregon, where everything was short, firm, fast, up into the Philly market, where he now has 3 and 4 inch rough.
Where he's taking divots that are this long, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you can't even play a shot out of the rough that's 4 inches. It's actually a penalty, and you're just hacking a high lofted wedge or iron out of it to get it back in play.
And that aspect of performance differentiation, where fairway woods, because of the way that they're designed, that the leading edge is a little bit more face progressed, it can actually help you out of those types of long, rough lie conditions where that leading edge can part the grass. And so you can see that high lofted fairway woods under those conditions are really effective. And then you move into kind of that shorter, tighter experience, and a hybrid really can allow you to attack that golf club more like a long iron, but with greater levels of forgiveness and ball speed consistency.
Say even utilizing the driving iron. And while it's kind of, maybe you see 2 different iron categories in a blended set for the majority of players out there that do a blended set, I got fit into 3 different irons. And I'm going, okay, wow, like that's really cool.
By the way, that's our MO, so I'm so glad, because if you look at our tour staff, I mean, I think over half of them have like split sets, and that's the benefit and the beauty of the way that we design our irons, right? That you can get the face performance that you need all the way up and through to get the ball speed and the gapping. So excited to hear that that's the way it went for you too.
Yeah, and it's super cool because they're manipulating loft and removing offset, but still giving me a higher launching, more forgiving head. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm a gear nerd. I love this. So it was super cool to just go and bend stuff on the spot and fine tune the transition from 6-iron to 5-iron to 4-iron. And I ended up T100 in 6-iron, and then I was T150, but bent 2 degrees weak in the 150. And then went into almost like a driving iron T200 in the 4-iron, and the ball speed progression was better. The apex height was consistent across the board, which, I mean, like so many people out there, I struggle getting to a certain apex height that produces the landing angle that actually gives you stopping power and control coming into the green, and kind of manipulating the top end of the bag. Gapping improved, apex height, ball speed was sustained, and got playable gaps, and that all stop when they hit the green. So I'm going, yes, please, sign me up.
I think that was my favorite part of all of that. Sorry to interrupt, Stephanie. I think that was my favorite part. This is the first fitting that I've done where we actually went through every club in the bag and did a full gapping exercise within it, and it didn't matter what it was. So like I was T100 5-iron down, but I was the what's the driving iron called? There's
a U505 and a U510.
It was the 505, I think it was. It was the U505, but we used that as a 4-iron instead. Because the weighting on the 200, there was too much weight in the toe for me, and I didn't like the feel of it.
Gotcha.
So it was really cool to just go through that, and then we figured out like my optimal launch angles. And if something is launching at that, and it's going at, and then the peak height is X, then we are good across the board. And if it's not, if that iron or club, whatever it is, isn't hitting it, we need to try something different. And I just thought it was a really super interesting exercise to go through all of that and understand philosophy. And I think I said earlier, like what am I most excited about this trip? It's understanding the different philosophies as we go through all of this. And as of right now, it's pretty incredible to see that and how it comes into play. And then obviously the gear works very well alongside of that. But it was just really great to kind of just sit down and work with Lucas and go through all of this and have this philosophy conversation and then match it to equipment as well.
Yeah, that's the beauty of coming to our Titleist Performance Institute for a full bag fitting is the opportunity that you have to go through the entire set, right? To hit every golf club, to make those deductions and analysis. And I like to say, even if you're not a data person, like being in that type of environment with that type of level of an expert fitter, their level of experience is such that they can really guide and ask the right questions as to what are you seeking, what do you struggle with in your game, right? And really trying to address those problem areas through all of the tools that we make available to them in our club's R&D.
No, that makes total sense.
So getting back into hybrids.
Yeah.
So GT hybrids now coming to complement driver fairway, and now introducing GT2, GT3, and GT1 hybrids. Those are all going to be same launch?
They are all going to launch at the same time.
Very cool.
Yeah. So
that's good news to us.
Yes. Yep. So it's just once again filling out that whole family, right? How we know that not everyone is successful at hitting high lofted fairway woods or even 3 woods. So being able to transition that into a shorter length with a hybrid that really gives you that control to hit it more like an iron. The one product, just like what with the technology we have in the one fairway, we're now bringing that 4-AF CG adjustability because it's our largest footprint. I like to call this where this hybrid lives almost between a fairway and a hybrid. So lives between the 2 hybrid in a shape and then our 1 or 2 fairway wood. Kind of in that utility wood type category, right? We build it with a fairway wood shaft, which really helps promote increased launch and dynamic lofting. It's really for that player that needs a lot of height and trajectory. Personally, I play TSR1 and I'll move directly into GT1 hybrids when they come out. They replace my 4 and my 5-iron, and I'm very excited just about the center gravity fitting capability that we brought into this model. Now, the forward position is very similar to where we were in TSR1, but that aft position brings us up higher in inertia, brings that CG a little bit back. So prior to GT lineup, you would have said that this is our highest inertia hybrid that exists in the industry. But sadly, I have to tell you that GT2 is an even higher inertia product. So we're excited about that because of the fact that the hybrids, really what it comes down to is you want shot consistency, right?
Absolutely.
You're using these to replace long irons, to approach greens, and to be able to hit it close to pins. They're scoring golf clubs.
Yep.
And so inertia and stability matters a lot in hybrids. So a shift, 5%, 10%, 15% up, those are huge gains in our R&D world. And so being able to preserve that ball speed in that distance, for you to carry that bunker, to carry that lake, and really put it close to the pin is a real key to the performance of these golf clubs.
And we were kind of talking during the product presentation off camera. We're saying stability-wise, transfers into the equivalent of like 4 yards. Is that right?
For a 3/4 inch impact off center, which I know I can do at any given day.
Got that shot. Got that shot.
That is our shot.
Yeah, we're out of the professional ranks, right? At the inertia levels that we're talking about, it's a 4-yard gain in terms of the overall consistency of your distance. So instead of you hitting it 4 yards shorter on that hit, now you're going to hit it within 4 yards of your prior distance. So that is going to help you to carry that bunker, to be able to preserve your scoring capability with these golf clubs.
How many times do you come up just that short from carrying a water hazard, carrying a bunker, that would go from catching the front part of the green and potentially rolling out to a point to give you a look at a birdie, to now you plug it in the face of a bunker and you are looking at 6.
Too many times, mate.
Yeah, can't count that.
Yeah, just
count that.
face rejected by
Just 4 more yards.
that front bunker,
Yeah,
right?
That's all you need.
It's always the way.
Part of what I love about the one category of hybrids, though, they're relatively new for us. We brought them first in TSI and then advanced the performance of them, is just how high they fly.
Yeah.
So as a player that I don't hit long irons at a great trajectory, they've improved my capability on those longer par threes in particular too. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Need to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have to touch.
As expected.
Yeah.
I mean, we're club people, right?
100%. I am such a club nerd. I love it. And I mean, for this particular product category, the shape is really good.
It's got that super hybrid shape. I love looking down at it. It looks like a wood, but it's going to act like a hybrid, and that's my favorite kind of utility wood, to be honest with you. This to me is probably out of anything in the GT1 range, this is the one that I would 100% put in the bag straight away.
Ooh.
In the
right.
GT1 range.
In the GT one.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
So I've got a 7 wood.
The
And
GT's
we-
already in the
Bring it back.
driver.
And we offer it all the way down into a 20-degree loft.
Yeah.
So that would probably be what would fit into your bag most effectively, right?
I would
Wade?
do 20,
Yeah.
100%. I'd do a 20 degree, that would give me my 240, back in Arizona, 240, 250 distance. It's perfect. Yeah, I love it. Looks great.
And just as you look at it in that address position profile too, we've lengthened that heel-toe face length a little bit more
Yeah.
and brought it a little lower to the ground, which just improves the all-around playability of it. So if you miss it a little bit heel or toe, you're going to also get better ball speed preservation out of it and
Yeah.
more consistency too.
Love it.
Nope, it's great.
I feel like we're in the middle of an infomercial and we can go, but wait,
There's
more.
more. Yep.
But there is
If
more.
you buy that, you also get to buy.
You have the option to upgrade, right?
But wait, there's more.
GT2.
Yep.
GT2.
Right? So next in the lineup, I think what we kind of let the cat out of the bag, this is the most forgiving hybrid of any that we've measured in the industry. Obviously, we don't know what's coming in 2025, but we're exceptionally excited about the stability and the adjustability that is in these hybrids. So for the first time ever in GT2 now, we offer heel-toe adjustability. Yeah. If anything, what we hear from players like yourself, Wade, that say, I don't like hybrids.
Yep.
And a lot of the reason for that is because you have a tendency to hit them left, right? And so now we have the capability to dial that in, and you don't have to be dependent upon shape. Prior generations, we only had that capability in the 3. We were really trying to push all around playability in that 2 category. But we found by moving to this flat weight technology and spreading them out to the perimeter, we really can have the best of both worlds, right? That we can bring that inertial consistency up. So inertia, despite the fact that this GT2 hybrid is slightly sleeker than where we were with TSR2, Inertia is 10% higher in our total inertia. And we're doing it in a package that really just looks, sound, and feels like you would expect a GT2 and a Titleist to look.
Yeah, I think the coolest part about the hybrids along the spectrum for GT is, so as I said earlier, I don't like hybrids. I'm not a big hybrid person. But I think one of the coolest parts about these GT hybrids is what I've noticed is in the past when I do put something down at address in a hybrid, to me, it always looks so closed. And I think that's why I struggle, because it just goes left every time. Where for some reason these, and I don't know whether you've made any changes or if it's just optically me, they don't. They fall, I would feel, they sit at like 1 degree open, like in a really good spot for my eye. So I think that's the one thing that I would say is that because of that, that would give me that bit of assurance that I could give this a go, where I don't think I'm going to lose it left every single time. If I put a bad swing on it, yeah, I'm going to lose it left. And I also play a little draw too, which always scares the crap out of me when it comes to a hybrid too. Because if I miss that draw and it just goes, and then I get the duck hook that you love to hit.
It's my favorite shot.
You know, I get worried about that as well. But as I said, it definitely does set up much more open to me than closed like most other hybrids do.
I think the beauty of these hybrids is not only do they now have CG adjustability, but they still have what I like to think is the best hosel system in the industry with our SureFit Tour hosel. So our hosel system allows for independent loft and lie adjustment. So we have 4 discrete lofts, 4 discrete lies, so 16 total settings. And why that's super important, particularly in fairways and hybrids, is because these golf clubs are hit off the ground.
Yeah.
And so with some of the shape changes that we've done to improve playability across the face, angle fitting and being able to dial in your loft with the correct launch and spin, but also get your turf interaction proper, it's a real key. And so being able to do that, you can really unlock even more performance with these hybrids.
I think that's a really good point too. Like, I don't think people talk about this enough, but depending on where you're playing, like obviously like we're in Arizona, but if I've come from Arizona and I've come here, the air is much denser in California versus what it is in AZ. It's always warmer in Arizona than it is here. The ball goes further. If I come here and it's like, okay, cool, I need to hit my hybrids or my woods or whatever it is at a certain distance, you can lower the loft on them as well, so you can get a bit more of a springboard out of them to go further of what you need. So having that kind of an adjustable sleeve, I think, is really important in that area of the bag.
I play with that all of the time. I move, from D4 to A1 to D1 in constant. And so it's, 1 degree increments in our hybrid system. So you're able to knock off, a degree plus or minus, and go up 2 degrees in loft if you needed to as well.
That's really cool.
For the self-tinkerers at home that are, curious about tinkering with loft sleeve.
This sounds like a question for Kris, not for the tinkerers at home. Sure, keep going.
You're not my real dad. I don't have to listen to you.
This feels like a progressive commercial.
Yeah. The 1 degree on the loft sleeve, what are you typically seeing launch and spin wise?
Typically with a degree of loft change, you'll see, a half degree of launch angle, 250 to 300 RPMs of spin in that genre.
Okay, not too bad.
Yeah.
Fine tune.
Yes.
Exactly.
Particularly once you're into these categories where you have more loft on the head and you're spinning it upwards, in that 4,000, 4,500, 5,000 range.
Right.
We got one more head cover.
Yeah. What do you think is under this one?
I'll take what is a GT3 for 500, Alex.
I concur.
Ding, ding, ding.
You didn't
Winner,
throw
winner.
it at our camera guys.
Oh, well, maybe an outtake.
Next time. GT3.
All right. So really, when it comes down to filling out the line, the 3, when I think of this hybrid in the lineup, it's meant for that player that hits a hybrid most like an iron. So the player that is able to kind of stay down through their posture to hit it with a more descending angle of attack.
It's not me.
Because of that, it's a much smaller profile, more iron-like in that regard, and it's our least face progressed. And when I say least face progressed, it's our most offset hybrid. So it sits more like an iron in that address position. When you look at it in the top down versus what was in our TSR3, one of our objectives and goals was to create more performance differentiation within the lineup. So you look at the 1, and I kind of said it lives between a fairway and a hybrid. The 2 is a very classic all-around playability. The 3's kind of in that, peanut type size. We've had great adoption with our 3 categories in the past. So a lot of the shaping feedback on tour comes directly from the players. So looking at what they would like to see in this product. We've also moved away from our track system in the 3 hybrid and moved towards these 2 flat weights, pushed to the extent and perimeter. The track system, while it was very easy and intuitive to use, it concentrated mass. Despite the fact that we had the concentrated mass that we can move within the track, this allows us a much more optimal placement of the mass to drive inertia. So for this category, the inertia is 15% higher than where we were with TSR3, and that's in a much smaller chassis.
Got it.
And so you look at this relative to the competitive landscape, and it's up in the highest inertia products despite it being very, very small and very kind of classic in terms of its look and performance as well.
I mean, a 15% gain in one generation, that's huge.
Yeah, Tom did a great job with the team on this one. I think the tour is going to be very excited. I'm excited for those players that really do hit hybrids more like irons to experience this product. So we offer it in 3 lofts. We've got the capability all the way up to a 24-degree option for those players that really need that performance out of it as well.
Hey, I look down at that after looking at GT1 and GT2, and the first thought that comes to my head is, you're not that guy, pal.
Yeah, I would. This is not my kind of a club.
I don't have the skill or the speed to play there.
No, I'm not there.
Beautiful golf club.
But you look at a Charlie Hoffman as a guy that really, he lives locally here in San Diego, and kind of that aspect of that tour feedback loop. He's in constant communication. He'll look at new shapes for us early on in our prototype development process. And this is a product that, he has directly influenced because he's played a product like this in the past. So it harkens back to shapes we've had in our hybrids before. But I think it really kind of creates that bookend to the hybrid lineup, just like we did with the drivers, having performance differentiation in the fairways, having performance variance. We have that within the hybrid category too. So lots of options to find your best distance gapping solutions at the top end of the set.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. We're just not good enough to hit it. But yeah, no, this is a beautiful looking hybrid.
I bet you can, though. You should try it out. It goes a lot higher than you would expect.
No, this is definitely a beautiful hybrid. It's definitely
It's a great shape, beautiful golf club.
It looks aggressive, which I think is what you want out of this kind of a hybrid.
Looks like it wouldn't go left.
True. Unless I can make it go left, which I'm good at.
I think the other aspect of this heel-toe weighting capability in both the 2 and the 3 is that in the consumer testing that we run out here at Oceanside, we test a broad spectrum of players in playability and characteristics. We saw that 50% of players ended up in the heel and 50% of players ended up with the heavyweight in the toe. So it really points to the fact that when you go in to experience the GT hybrids, I would love for every player to hit it in both positions. And then from there, we actually have head weight capability too. So we can even further refine from that. And so you have a lot of opportunity to align CG with your impact location, which can help take one side of the golf club golf course out of play, but also unlock more speed and more distance consistency for you too.
Some great offerings coming to, like you said, round out the GT family. So filling the family.
Yeah, we're incredibly excited about it all.
I mean, with that, I would say thank you very much for hosting us. This has been a lot of fun. We've had a great day and great new stuff coming. Really excited to see GT1 join the lineup and GT hybrids join the lineup as well. So, anything else?
No, I think as just to concur what you've said, it's all been great. So looking forward to coming out into the marketplace and seeing what it does and going from there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for spending the day with us.
It's been great.
And experiencing all that we have to offer within the GT lineup.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Hey, thank you.
Yep.